Hello and welcome to Voice of Rio Grande. It's so good to have everybody join us today. I'm Dr. Donna Mitchell. I'm the Dean of the College of Professional and Technical Studies, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Heather Duda, who is the Interim Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Welcome, Heather. I'm glad you're joining me.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. The campus is ablaze with activities. It's so fun to see all the students out and about and enjoying their college life. We have a concert coming up, and that's actually, I think, from some of the faculty in your school or your college.
Yeah, the faculty recital, the annual faculty recital is Tuesday, the 27th at 7 p.m. in the Fine Arts Auditorium. And I'd like to put a plug in that not only are our wonderful musical faculty going to perform, but so is our president, Dr. Johnston, and our associate provost of institutional effectiveness, Dr. David Lawrence, is going to be performing as well. So if you're available, come on out and enjoy the music.
I haven't had the opportunity to hear President Johnston play the piano, but I've been told she's a gifted musician, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun to go and listen to all of the gifted musicians.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think we see a side of our faculty and staff that we don't normally get to see every day, and that's a lot of fun, and some of their really amazing musical talent.
Well, I'm really glad to see the college back to life and see the fall semester getting in full swing. And today we have a guest with us. I'm very excited to talk with her, Dr. Amy Swango-Wilson. She is the director of the nursing program. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and speak about our nursing program.
Well, first we'd like to learn a little bit more about you, Amy. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, about your background, and how you came to Rio Grande?
Okay. I was born and raised in Lawrence County, Ohio, just down the road. I went to Sims Valley High School and graduated kind of top of my class, not top. I went to Berea College for my undergraduate BSN, and then later went to the University of Kentucky for my master's degree and a clinical specialty in pediatrics. Later, I went to Walden University and received my PhD in community health promotion and education. I've been a nurse for many years. We won't say how many, but 30 plus. During that time, I have experienced probably every aspect of nursing that there is. I started out in pediatrics working in Kotzebue, Alaska, which is north of Nome, above the Arctic Circle, one of my very first nursing experiences that I loved. And as a new graduate, I was the emergency room nurse, pediatric nurse, and OB nurse, all in the same night.
Wow.
Which was really interesting.
Sounds like a lot of challenge in that.
It was a very small hospital, luckily. But if I had a child in pediatrics, I would just wheel them to OB if we were having a baby, and they sat out in the hall. And if we had an ER person come in, we just ran down the hall to them. It was fun, and you learned a lot.
I'm sure you did.
I left Alaska basically because I was homesick. I was a little girl from Appalachia who had family ties, family and friend support in this area. And so after a year, I came back home to start work at Cabell Huntington Hospital and worked in NICU there and pediatrics. Postpartum, I worked with high-risk mothers. And once I got my master's degree, back in that time, I was the only BSN nurse, and now I was basically the only MSN nurse in the area. And I was overqualified to work in hospitals, which I never understood because my master's was a clinical specialty. So from that, I had to go into teaching, which I learned to love. I started working at Collins Career Center at Getaway, Ohio in the LPN program. Worked there for a year. They thought their enrollment would be low, or I would probably still be there. So they told me to find another job, and I found one here at Rio Grande. In 1985, I think, I started teaching at Rio Grande in the associate degree program over in the Davis Career Center and eventually moved here to Wood Hall, and then now we have our own McKenzie Hall, which is a nursing building. I taught here for 8 years. I loved it. I taught foundations and I taught OB. It was a wonderful job, but I was also working part-time as a hospice nurse. And I can remember I left Rio after giving my final exam and went into the hospice office to get supplies for a patient, and the director said, "Would you like a full-time position?" and started an office in Ironton. So I loved hospice. I jumped at it. I left Rio Grande and I went and played nursing for a while. I worked in hospice. You can only work in hospice, I find, for a very limited time because you get so close and involved with your patients and their families. You really do get burned out. I have a hate-love relationship with hospice. I love them. I love what they do, but I don't know that I could ever work for them again because I was a 7-day, 24-hour-a-day job. Because I was in my community, if a family member was bad, the families trusted me. They would show up at my doorstep if I didn't answer my phone and say, "How are you doing? I thought something was wrong. Oh, by the way, Mommy needs." So after 8 years of that and 3 Christmases caring for children who were dying, I left hospice and went and became the director of nursing at Appalachian Regional Hospitals in Man, West Virginia. Man is, those of us old people know that in the 1960s, 70s, Man had the coal dam break and flooded and killed many, many people in that little small community. They are salt of the earth people. They are strong. They're resilient. I love them. Unfortunately, their hospital, with changes in health care, their hospital did close. And there's no longer a Appalachian Regional Hospital in Man, West Virginia. But I still think of those people very fondly. I left Man and I worked for a small time in psych mental health nursing, quality control. I liked the area, but it really wasn't what I was about. So then I went into developmentally disabled individuals. I worked with the Lawrence County MRDD program, which is now Intellectual and Developmental Disability Program. I met my husband there, got married. I became a foster parent. I took guardianship of a child I was given when he was 4 months old, who has an intellectual disability, autism, and a heart condition. He's now 18. I was told he wouldn't live to see that first Christmas, and we've had 18 Christmases with him. He's a challenge, but he's also a joy, who is my child. Even though he was a foster child, I am now his guardian. Soon after I accepted Jason into my home, my husband and I moved to Alaska again. My husband had never been out of Lawrence County, and I took him to Alaska with the promise of seeing whales. He did see his whale. He saw a dead whale first, and then he saw some whales in the stream. We lived in Alaska for 8 years. I taught at the University of Alaska in the bachelor's program. And I also worked with the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium doing research with the Alaska Natives in diabetes, heart disease, connective tissue disease, EARTH study, which is a wellness study that's ongoing that I continue to work with. I've done a study on prostate cancer in men, and now I'm currently doing a little review on the effects of alcohol on the productivity of the emergency room. It's a big, long thing. We're just wanting to see how many individuals come in with substance abuse or intoxicated and how that affects the flow of the emergency room. when I left Alaska, obviously they wouldn't let me quit ANTHC. So yes, I have an encrypted computer and I play with it all the time, off and on, but that's really the joy of my life. I left Alaska only because my husband developed leukemia, and after he went into remission, he decided I needed to be closer to family, more support if and when something happened to him. So we moved to Tennessee. This is a bad thing to say, but Tennessee was close enough and far enough because in-laws didn't do so well. But he did die in 2013, but he had a great life. He had developed ocular melanoma, which is a melanoma on his eyeball, during his leukemia treatment, and that's what eventually killed him. But he was 3 years with stage 4 melanoma. He went through a research study at James Cancer Center, and he was only really sick, I would say, for 2 weeks of his life. So there is hope, and I'm just a plug for cancer research, and there is hope for anybody out there experiencing that. He died, and I waited 3 years, and I was actually online looking at Rio Grande to talk about the retirement I had here from my first stint at Rio, looking at how much do I have there, when can I retire, and Chris Norris sent me back an email and said, oh, we're looking for a director, would you like to apply? It came at the right time. I do feel that I was God-led here. I needed support with my son, who is autistic. While he does really well, he was coming home to an empty house, which was not a good situation for him. And his sister, Summer, who I also was a foster child who I've had since 21 months of age, and she just graduated high school. But my family had been coming down to Tennessee and staying there so Jason would have somebody, and this job just gave me the opportunity to come back home with family support so that Jason would be taken care of. Since being here, I have been a nurse for 38 years and I have taught for 28 years. So being here, I've been able to bring all the experiences I have had from all the educational institutions, all the experiences I've had, all the educational trainings that I've had, to focus on our small little community, which I grew up in and which I still believe in, so that we can develop a program that is meeting the same standards and criteria of some of the bigger universities in the country. Little Rio Grande can have, and we will produce the best nurses that we possibly can. So
great. Well, that's a wonderful history of your life and your background experience. And that brings us to talk a little bit about our nursing program here at the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. Can you tell us about the program or programs and what each entails?
Okay, Rio Grande School of Nursing has basically 2 levels of nursing education, and within that probably has 4 levels. We have our RN to BSN program, which takes in students who have received their associate degree of nursing and have an RN license, but want to go on to school for 2 more years to get a bachelor's degree. Many of our hospitals are looking at a new standard called magnet status, and with that you need to have more BSN nurses working in your facility. Unfortunately, or fortunately, our community has produced lots of associate degree nurses who don't meet that criteria, and our hospitals cannot really move forward until they get their staffing levels up. So many of our hospitals are paying tuition for those nurses to come back. There are many RN to BSN programs available to students, but we are unique in that we offer our program on campus. Most RN to BSN programs are now offered online. We have a community infrastructure that doesn't really support online. Our students are leery of computers and online education. They're not really sure how motivated they can stay, and they like that personal people touch. Many of our homes don't have an internet that's strong enough to support really an online education program. So we are filling in the crack of those students who want the education but don't want online. Our program meets, it's a 2-year program. We meet 1 day a week. If a student enters this year, they would be going to school on Tuesdays for 2 years so that they can plan their work schedules and their lives around, I need Tuesday off. The students who are in our 2nd year and who will enter next year will have a Thursday schedule. And so they would have a heads up, every Thursday you need off for 2 years. And that helps them plan, it helps their agencies plan, and gives them the opportunity to get a bachelor's degree like everybody else.
So do some of your students from your associate degree go directly into your baccalaureate program?
Yes.
Or are they nurses from the community, or is it a combination?
It's kind of a combination. Many of our students who will graduate in the spring and in August will go on into our bachelor's program. The first semester, the student does not need an RN license. So the student who has graduated in August can start the end of August and have their license by January 1st, and they are considered, you know, part of our program and can get started. So you can start in the 2-year program, go straight in 4 years, have your bachelor's degree, just like any student who's going to a generic BSN program. The only difference is in between you can work. Our associate degree program has 3 different formats in order to get into it. We have the traditional associate degree program that enters students from high school or from the community who have no nursing background at all. They will come in, take a HESI exam. We will rank them according to their scores, and they will be admitted in the fall of the year. We have an LPN to RN program on campus, and these students are LPNs who want to become RNs. They will again take the HESI entrance exam. We again rank their scores from top to bottom, and we accept about 85 students from this group. They will enter in the summer, take a 10-week course in the summer that gives them the information that our traditional students received in the first 2 semesters in summer term. They also, once they've completed this course, they get K credit for everything our traditional students have taken, including the sciences, anatomy, physiology, and microbiology. They will then, in the fall, track right in with the traditional students and graduate in May. So they start in June and graduate in May. Our 3rd track is an online LPN to RN program. In the LPN to RN online program, which is hybrid, meaning you have to do some on-campus contact, the student takes the program part-time. It's 6 semesters, and they will enter in the fall to take a computer workshop and then actually go into nursing in the spring. They will take 1 class a semester, 1 nursing class a semester, and graduate with their RN to BSN. Instead of 3 semesters, it'll be 6 semesters. The classes are online. They do clinical once a week. They have to go to a clinical site for the experience. And they take their exams. Right now we're looking at how to provide exams in a better way, but up to this point they have done exams at proctor sites. What else can I say about that?
Could you tell us a little bit about sort of the job opportunities for students at different levels of the nursing program?
In nursing, and in our area especially, the job market is wide open. 100% of our new graduates will have jobs on graduation if they want a job. We have a few that will go on to the BSN program and opt not to work while they are in their education programs full-time. Nursing is wide open. You can work in the hospital where the majority of our students will go, and they'll work in every department: intensive care, emergency room, just a medical surgical floor, pediatrics, OB. But they can also work in home health, they can work in hospice, they can work in the public health department, they can become case managers for insurance companies. It's wide open. And also, once you get your RN license from the state, you can go to any state that you want to go to, and your license will be approved by reciprocity. You must apply for a license in the other state, but you don't have to take an exam again. It's a matter of sending proof that you had a license and it was a good license, and paying money. We all want money. So as I said, my first job was in Alaska. Any of these kids here can go to Alaska. They can go to Haiti. I worked in Haiti for a while as a missionary. They can go worldwide, actually. So nursing is a stepping stone to many, many opportunities, careers, education, and it's a passion for taking care of people.
I've heard that accreditation is very important for nursing programs. Is your program accredited, and if so, by whom?
Okay, our program, and it's very important, is certified by the Ohio Board of Nursing, but we also have a national/international accreditation by ASIN. Accreditation is really important by a national level accreditor, because it gives our students the opportunity to go on to other education programs. Many master's programs will ask, did you graduate from an accredited school of nursing? Yes, our students did. Our students will never have a stumbling block that they cannot go on. If you want to work in a federal government job, the VA hospital, go into the military, work U.S. public health systems, you must have come from an accredited school of nursing. Our students have done that. Accreditation also ensures that our program is following national standards for education, for student outcomes, that we are looking not only at current nursing practice, but also looking futuristic of what the current future looks like in nursing, and that we are preparing our students to meet those challenges of the future. We also make sure accreditation forces the program to look at it themselves, to look at those things that are working and are not working, so that we trend data and we make changes based on that data. We work with our community hospitals and healthcare facilities to identify and understand their needs, and how our new graduates, not only our new graduates, but any new graduate, is not meeting the need of the facility, so that we can be sure to include those areas in our program. It might be simply adding a form to our care plans, or it may be revamping a unit within the program so that we meet the need. One of the big changes probably in the last 10 years is electronic records. We have revamped, and we have special emphasis in some courses on how do you do the electronic medical records, and how students can enter data into that, and how the security issues involved in that, and the confidentiality issues involved in that, so that our students are employable and come into the facility ready to really learn their job, and not catching up on things that they should have learned at the beginning.
Are all of your programs accredited? You said you have an RN to BSN program, and then you have the program that leads to the RN.
Both of our programs are accredited. Our associate degree program just received a visit in the spring, and we received a full 8-year accreditation. Our next visit will be in 2024. Our BSN program has full accreditation. Their next visit will be in 2020. They were accredited 4 years. Their visit was 4 years ago, and they received the full 8-year accreditation. So our program is well grounded, well marked for the future of this community. We are looking at the needs of our hospitals, of the needs of our community, the needs of our students, so that we can be prepared to meet our future needs.
That's great, because I understand that sometimes those accreditation visits can be a little stressful, and I know the Accreditation Commission for Education and Nursing, which is what ACEN stands for, is a very reputable and very stringent accrediting body, and they leave no stone unturned. So the fact that you had a site visit that went extremely well and you got a full 8 years of accreditation really speaks well for the program, the faculty, and the administration in that program.
Yeah, we're very proud of the effort we have done, and every one of our faculty worked on this accreditation visit. This year, while we did not have any citations that we have to worry about, our faculty are not waiting for 8 years to make changes and improvements. This year they have implemented many different teaching strategies to become more interactive and proactive, and we look forward to seeing what they will come up with in the future.
You have provided us with a wealth of information about nursing, probably
Absolutely.
more than Heather maybe even thought about there might be involved in nursing.
I thought it was great, and I, for one, have learned a lot about the program here at Rio, and I am proud that we have such an amazing program. So thank you for sharing that.
If somebody's interested in the nursing program and getting more information about the program, they should contact you, Dr. Swango-Wilson?
They can contact me. Just call the University of Rio Grande main campus number and ask to speak with the nursing department director or with the secretary, Karen Jones, who has been here since the beginning of the program and has a wealth of information, and I still go to her and ask questions. So if you don't get in touch with me, get in touch with Karen, and she can answer all your questions.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Dr. Swango-Wilson, and we look forward to seeing all of you next time on Voice of Rio Grande.
Okay.